Joining us in studio is Sherif Ghali, the CEO, Ghana Chamber of Young Entrepreneurs, and he is also here. Sherif, thank you so much for making it. Is it still raining out there?
Yes.
Okay, heavily. So there is much traffic.
Have to be very
Stay at
careful.
home.
No, they should go to work, but let's just be careful.
Careful on the roads.
For productivity's sake, people should go to work.
Okay. But like I said, everybody should be careful out there. But Sherif, before you came in, I illustrated the figures as printed by the youth minister as well. Quite alarming that all the guests have attributed to that. But from where you sit, is the future not being eroded now? What's causing this? Lack of parental control, the schools, or the nation as a whole?
Thank you very much, Randy. But before I answer that, apart from the Ghana Chamber of Young Entrepreneurs, I'm now the president of the Ghana Youth Federation, which is a constitutional body representing all youth in Ghana.
So for big me, man.
Yes, but this topic is actually very key to what we do because representing the interests of young people across Ghana, we need to be able to ensure that our youth, we are bringing them on the table to be able to contribute to national development. Before I answer your question, I think that we have to give it to the Ministry of Youth. First time in the history of Ghana. I have been in the ecosystem for like 15 years, and all the time I talk about data-driven evidence and programming, and that is exactly what the Ministry of Youth did. And so to Pablo, we love to call him Pablo, and the chief, from the chief director to everybody at the ministry, I love what I saw the last time. I don't know, I didn't see you there, but if
I
you
wasn't
see,
Karim and the team.
Yeah, but if you see what they did, they actually brought the finest of drinks in our research environment. Musa Dankwa, the vice chancellor from Methodist, and all of these people. And what they did was to ask these people to do research and bring them data before. And this is what I've been talking about for years. So I'm happy to see that our advocacy is actually working. And if the president is watching, I think he should be proud today for putting people like George Operado at the ministry. And now I understand why we actually needed a standalone ministry. This gave us the chance to be able to really intentionally focus on youth development. But let me now come to your question in terms of the figures we saw there. For me, it's not just alarming, it's a national emergency. Because if close to 70% of your population are people below 35 years, and we are seeing drug addiction rising among them, then it's a national emergency, because the future is gloomy, because your population that is supposed to be the workforce, that is supposed to be the next leadership, are now indulging into this. Then it is a national emergency. But I love your question, that is, we are trying to look at where it's coming from. And for me, I think it's an all-round thing. It's an economic issue, it's a social issue. Economic in the sense that when we talk about youth development, it takes the young person to have a job, to be engaged meaningfully. I have engaged some young people, and they would tell you the reason they do drugs, even though it's not justifiable, is because they don't have any work. And so that is an economic issue. And even those who have work are underpaid. I know a young person who is addicted to game, very intelligent, but he's addicted to betting. And when I engage him, bro, my salary is not much, so I have to bet to cope up. And all the time he's on Aviator, and this Aviator is causing this guy to become drug addict because his little 1,000 Ghana cedi is win. And now this guy, whenever he's win, he has to go and look for something to cool down. So it's like an escape route for them, which is becoming a major thing. And so we need to look, what are we doing economically to provide the support for the young people? Are they having meaningful jobs? Are there even jobs for them? And then I am sure if we are able to check that, we can then be able to look at societal issues. But parental guidance is also very important when it comes to our societies. The minister said something, and I have also seen it practically. In one family, if there is a drug addict, likelihood that the whole of the family, or most of the young people in the family, will become drug addicts. With all due respect, if your dad is a drug addict, most likely half of your siblings will also follow that suit, because they see it to be normal. And so parental guidance should be very important. Parents should really look out to what their children are involved, and look out to what we do as parents that our children learn from. But aside that, still within the community, gone are the days, you are not just a child for your mother or father, you are a child of the community. That's where a community person can come and discipline you when you are doing something wrong. But these days, everybody is minding their own. We understand time changes because everybody is more looking at their small farm. But I think that we have to come together as a community to really bring back that tradition of you are our child, not the child of your parents, so that we can all support these young people. I was just watching a video where this guy saw the guy slapped him. Wake up. I don't ascribe to violence, but that was a wake-up call.
Exactly. Like a reset.
He has to, the brain needs to be reset. And this is what the community will need to understand. And it also still takes me back to government as well. Government is part of our community. You see, when we underfund youth programs, some of these things happen because you are not giving the youth agencies the power to be able to advocate more. Look at what the minister did. It was pure advocacy based on data. That is why we are discussing it today. If we had not gotten it, it's normal. We all know that there's addiction, but we don't see the seriousness. But because there is an empowered ministry for youth, they decided to empower people to do research. Today we have the data, and now we can speak to them. So we need to understand that underfunding youth program also affect our youth development. Sometimes just getting to young people to educate them about their health issues alone is important, but go to the National Youth Authority. How are they funded to be able to carry on all of these things that they are doing? So when there's a statistics, I always say that behind those statistics, that is a young person who loses the opportunity to be able to innovate, to build and grow. We are talking about no jobs. We are talking about at the public sector. Why don't we focus on empowering young people to be creative? And so when the young persons are allowed to wallow around, there's no opportunity. The nearest thing that is an opportunity, like I heard them saying, the availability of drugs. That one, do you need any, what do you call it? Go ahead. You don't need any.
It's a free range.
Exactly. So they go in for it and nobody says anything. Because when you ask them, say, bro, me, I no get time. Well, this will help me to.
And they have a funny way of speaking.
This will help me to be freedom. What freedom? But that is they see. So we need to be a bit more intentional, and I love where the Ministry of Youth is starting from, the intentionality to get data so that we can speak to issues. But then we all have to work together, government, society, communities, our parents, every one of us. And like you said, it has been there for long. What can we do going forward?
That's the question. I'll come back for that.
To answer your question, the Ghanaian youth doesn't need policing, they need opportunities, and I always stand by that. You have a country where a young person who is an influencer definitely have an impact in the young people's life, is allowed to flaunt smoking, is allowed to drink online. And what are you telling the young person? I don't want to mention them, but we know Ghanaian celebrities with a huge followers of people who are likely to be in one region, and they continue to live that life. So indirectly it's telling them, guys, it's okay, let's continue. So like I said, the Ghanaian youth need opportunity than policing. No matter the regulation we put in place, it still is very difficult for us to get our young people not to bet and to also stop drinking. So what do? Let's create opportunities for them. If you continue to use a certain strategy and it's not working, you devise other strategies. Let's go back to the drawing board and ask ourselves questions. Who are those who are glorifying drug addiction? Who are those who are betting? Why are they betting? So my point is that we have to move away from policing the young person to giving them opportunities, the jobs, the empowerment for the young person to have something doing. And if they have engagement, if they are empowerment, I can tell you, Randy, that Ghana, we can be talking about young people leaving that space of gambling and drug addiction.
Sheriff, come on in before I come to you, Sheriff.
Yes.
Again, can we also say this is a personal decision?
If you listen to what the minister said, based on the people who gather data from them, the highest number of those into drug addiction were social influence, or you can call them peer influence. They didn't say it was inherently part of them. Nobody is born a drug addict. Nobody is born a gambler. So yes, there are personal choices. We can't rule that out. But the huge number was coming from societal influence, where friends are influenced, where they see on TV. So to be honest with you, we need social re-engineering. Whether you like it or not, personal, but I tell you what, 90% of it is from our society. What we see, what we are shown, what we are told about, is what will push us there. Like I said, you drive and you see, I win 1 million. My brother, sometimes you are tempted to try. So Randy, it is about what we see in the society. And even though it's very important, we need to appreciate that people take those decisions personally. But we also need to understand that we have to build their capacity. Sometimes people don't do it because they know. Some people just do some of the time, they can't explain why. we need to build their capacity. That's why I talk about the opportunity.
Well, so again, Sherif, let's wrap up.
Yeah. Just to clarify, so the point was that if 70% of our population are below 35 years, and there is the report of 32% increase in drug abuse, it was about our future that I was talking about, that it looks gloomy if you continue that trend. But yes, I always believe, I'm an entrepreneur and a youth leader. I know there's nothing we can overcome if we have the will and if we believe in ourselves. If you are watching me today and you are a young person and you are already into some of these things, you are not annihilated from the community. You are still very important. We have seen presidents who had those things. We have seen pastors who are even armed robbers, and today they are national leaders. So you can still become a better person as a young person. But so to also bring a few things to the table, addition to what they have said already, they have been able to talk about the drug addictions and the technical aspect. This time I want to speak to our government, and that is for me what I stand for as far as the Ghana Youth Federation is concerned. You see, we have to be very intentional, just as we have started with SOYA. SOYA have to be institutionalized every year, or even if it is quarterly. We want to hear this data-driven research done by the ministry. If the chief director and Honorable George Opariado, they are watching, and even the presidency, make sure we institutionalize SOYA. Don't just come and do it for now. We give you the glory and that is all. Let's institutionalize it. I also want to be very, very critical on the fact that we need to prioritize mental health. Like you said it, I so much as I agree with you. The National Youth Authority has the mandate to lead that in Ghana. But what I have realized is that over the years, because of underfunding, they have not been able to champion, or because their mandate is quite huge. So we would put before the leadership that we need to upskill the funding of the National Youth Authority and all the other youth agencies so they can pick back this mental education. Now we have seen the figures, right? Yeah. So nothing is stopping us from investing in them. And so I am sure Parliament is also watching, especially the Committee on Youth. This year, for example, the National Youth Authority have a quota of 5% on District Assembly Command Fund. This 5% was actually still very small to do some of these things, mental health, empowering the youth. And then all of a sudden, Parliament decided to reduce it to 0.06. And it's so disappointing. If you underfund youth interventions, these are some of the times we have these issues. If we were having the funding, we could work with Mr. Kamal and the team. The fact is that Mr. Kamal and his team is even also having limited resources. And then you expect him to do all of this in across Ghana. That's why he politically keep telling you that we can't do all. He can't do all because they are underfunded. He cannot say it, I can say it because I'm not paid by government. So we need to look at these institutions. What is NACOP doing? Then NY, how do we work together, especially and you, to be able to build the mental capacity of young people to really find their feet in this life and then develop. The last one I would like to add is that we need to also focus on getting the young people a purpose, even if it is about entrepreneurship. Let us give them the needed support for young people to create each other. If a young person is engaged, Randy, you wake up in the morning, you want to come to work. Master, no matter who you are, you don't even have time to go and say you are doing betting. Even that thing, because if you do that thing and come here, your boss will sack you. So because you are engaged, there's limited time for some of these things. When you leave here, I see you at different programs to report. Your mind is already preoccupied. It doesn't give you that idleness to think of engaging in other things. So please, let us all, community, government, all of us, let us be intentional about youth support. And if you're already a young person in it, I am telling you, there's hope for you. We are going to make sure that we help you get out of it and we'll develop together. Thank you very much.
Sherif, thank you.